Warm welcome to all of you for this June month knowledge series from Consultants Forum. Those of you who have been attending our sessions regularly, you know that June month knowledge series is an annual a feature from our Consultants Forums. This is a joint initiative of Consultants Consortium of Chennai and Management System Consultants Consortium. Both are platforms for management system consultants who are closely connected with the space called standards, certifications, and regulations. So CCC as an association has been steering this programs over the last 6 years, since 2019. It's a registered association. So we do a lot of initiatives to impart knowledge to various stakeholders across the sectors on key milestone days and days like this. And June month knowledge series, we do have 3 sessions lined. Today being World Environment Day, we are celebrating World Environment Day. And day after tomorrow, June 7th, we have World Food Safety Day. Very interesting topics are lined up. And the highlight of this June month series will be the World Accreditation Day, which is going to be celebrated on June 19th. This year theme of World Accreditation Day is very relevant and need of the hour theme. So we request all of you to join us for all the sessions. These are basically, today's session is a sector agnostic session. So the focus this year is actually to bring some meaningful conversation about how we are going to drive the environmental friendly initiatives to protect our Mother Earth. As stakeholders, each one of us do have a role to play, and these are the sessions not just meant only for industries and business sectors. These sessions are open for all stakeholders, including consumers. Each one of us is a consumer, and so we do have certain responsibilities as consumers to ensure that we mean green when we mean green, and so we all should have some intent and commitment and vision to contribute to achieve all this goals of the global governments. So there is a global consensus, global conversations that are taking place to end this plastics as a pollution, okay? Plastic pollution as an environmental initiative by 2030. This is one of the UN goals actually, and this is a kind of a commitment taken up by many countries. And in India also, I was just reading Niti Aayog's report just about 2-3 days ago, an announcement where Niti Aayog is actually creating a kind of reporting structures in the country, working on clear policies to ensure that as a country, we start monitoring the sustainable development goals with very key metrics very closely. And in fact, the framework and the policy is getting ready to ensure that all stakeholders and businesses be part of this. And so as a country, when we are going to release the report with all these key metrics, so there is an increasing responsibility on the businesses, industries, and various stakeholders to be part of this exercise. So we've been talking about environmental friendly, go green, go sustainable. This is the conversations which have been happening, not that we do not have environmental friendly practices in the country, but then the kind of the climate change that is happening across the globe, and a kind of pollution that's being kind of getting generated across the globe. In fact, all the 17 sustainable development goals have a lot of role to play. And so whether it is something to do with the life on the earth, protecting the life on the earth or life under the water, every sustainable goal has got a clear vision and a commitment. So this year's World Environment Day, the theme this year is actually to end plastics pollution. So as you know, every year we have a global theme and conversations, some meaningful conversations happen. Some action gets strategized and rolled out during this key milestone days. So beating plastic pollution, ending plastic pollution is a key global commitment now. And it is not just about the plastics, and not many conversations are actually happening about the microplastics, which is something which is not being looked at seriously and being ignored also, which has got a huge impact on the public health. See, environment and health are very closely connected and related. So there is an obligation for all the stakeholders to be part of this initiative. So there's a lot of learning that is required for all of us as stakeholders, because everything starts with a standard always. To understand what are the standards that are available, uh, when we are talking about pollution, when we are talking about environmental initiatives, climate change, talking about ending pollution, plastic pollution here at least. We should know at least what are the standards that are available for us to refer as national standards or international standards. So everything starts with a standard. From there, it moves on to businesses implementing all these initiatives either on a voluntary basis or when there are regulations, when there are mandates. So the focus will be actually to implement even when all this compliances need to be shown. So in this context, from there, that is how your certifications come into picture. So the businesses always want to demonstrate by opting for certifications to demonstrate their compliances either on a voluntary basis based on the standards or on a mandated basis. So the conversation today panned out in such a manner that it starts with a foundation being the standards, a topic on the available standards that are available for the environmental practices, and even to various standards related to plastics, which the businesses can implement. So today we have a lineup of speakers who will be actually from all these three domains who will be speaking. So the first speaker today we have is from Bureau of Indian Standards, who will be presenting us about the standards that we have in the country, whether it is related to plastic or environmental related. Then the second session is actually on regulatory frameworks, like what is the regulatory framework that we have in the country today is it's a global requirement, not just in India, that ESG reporting framework, which is the very important corporate reporting framework that we have in the country. Though, so in India, it is called BRSR reporting, which is business responsibility reporting or a corporate reporting. So across the globe, there is an increased focus on strengthening the corporate reporting focus. In fact, many countries are working towards coming out with unified corporate reporting structure for this. Very recently, in fact, China also has rolled out their unified corporate reporting framework for ESG. So we have a session on this ESG reporting framework and how this plastics and microplastics pollutions, how they're going to affect the businesses, and what will be the implications if the businesses do not make voluntary efforts or either on a voluntary basis or as per the regulations. So we have an interesting session today from an industry expert representing Suzlon Energy, Ms. Nishita Gupta. And we also have the next session after this will be on plastic-free future. So it is all about next generation and where we are heading, in which direction we are all moving as a country or globally. So how can we visualize a plastic-free future, and how the businesses have to really prepare themselves with all this evolving regulations. So we have a very interesting speaker, Dr. Vilas Ramrao Shirhati, who will be presenting to us. And the last session today is about on sustainable forestry practices for environmental protection. So this is a topic from Network for Certification Conservation of Forests. In fact, Mr. Atul Bagai is actually traveling. He's en route and traveling. So I hope that he will be able to join us today. And he said he will try his best to join. And because of his sudden travel plan, he was just trying to see whether he could join us a little later. So with this note, we will just move on to our first speaker for the day. So we will hand it over to Mr. Shivam Dwivedi, who is actually representing, he is the member secretary from, sorry, Aarti, can I have the PPT, please?
I'll have PPT with myself, ma'am. I'll
Yeah,
share
just,
that. Yeah. So,
if you can
yeah,
introduce
yeah.
yourself, nothing like
I'll
it.
do that. I'll do
Thank
that.
you
I'll do
so
that.
much. Thank
Okay.
you.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. So myself, Shivam Dwivedi. I'm currently working as the deputy director and scientist in Bureau of Indian Standards. So we have several departments in BIS. Which works in different fields of standardization. So I'm working in petroleum, coal, and related products department of BIS. This department works in the fields of petroleum, coal, and their related products, which includes plastics, cosmetics, rubbers. Toys also is the part of this department. So yeah, it's a very big department, and the responsibility of this department is to formulate the standards pertaining to these areas. So yes, thank you, ma'am, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk about BIS and what are the different standards we have published so far related to the plastics and sustainability aspects. So allow me to share my screen so that I have a few presentation. I think I have around 15 minutes with me.
You can take your time. No, not an issue,
Okay, no
because this
worries.
is a
Okay,
very important topic for us, actually.
thank
What
you, ma'am.
standards that are available. So that's fine. That is not an issue. Once in a
Oh,
year, we learn so much on all this. Please go
oh,
ahead.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Full screen mode if you can. Yeah,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay. So before going to the details of standards, I hope you all must be aware about the standards or how the standards are formulated. But I'll take just few minutes to describe the like what is the process of standard formulation. Then we'll go to the list of standards which we have and what are the important points on the points of these standards. So if we have to talk about the standards, the standards are the authoritative document or statements which provides the criteria to ensure the safety and we can say quality parameters of any product or statement. So kind of we can also another word we can say standards are the documents which provide a solution for a repetitive problem. So what are the benefits of standards? So benefits, so standard will certainly improve the quality of the product. uh, if you are following the standard, then you'll certainly have a minimum quality of the product. Then it is also important to ensure the health and safety aspects of consumers. Then it also have a certain economic benefit because it will certainly help in economic trade. That is, it will facilitate the trade, because if the standards are harmonized across the country, then it will certainly help you in the trade. And then we have another, like kind of benefits of these standards, like minimizing duplicacy of efforts. Like if we have a standard, then there is no need to do a R&D and all on that area, on that subject. So yes, and these standards are also used in different regulations or quality control orders. So yes, these standards are playing an important role in ensuring the quality of any product or any process. So if we talk about the standard formulation structure of BIS, so at the top we have Bureau, that is Bureau of Indian Standards. Then for the standard formulation activity, we have a standard advisory committee. It is the apex body for standardization work. Then with under this SAC, we have different division councils. Uh, for each division councils, we have departments for okay for oh, just I think no we okay. So we have around 17 division councils in BIS, starting from like one is I'm from is PCD, petroleum, coal, and related products division council. Similarly, we have CSD, Environment and Ecology Division Council, CED, ETD, all around 17 division councils we have. So these division councils have a sectional committee within themselves. So if I talk about PCD, just to elaborate the thing, in PCD we have 15 sectional committees. So these sectional committees work on on the areas which are pertaining to the division council. So in PCD department, that is under PCD division council, we have committees for plastics, petroleum fuels, lubricants, test methods for fuels and lubricants, cosmetics, rubber. So these are the different areas which are covered under this division councils, and each of these areas are covered by section committees. So sometimes the work of the section committee has a, like if I talk about plastics, then plastic also comprises of different sectors. Like if we differentiate, if we classify these plastics, then we have a thermoplastic, thermoset. Then on the other parameters also we can differentiate these plastics or classify these plastics. So to work on to delegate the work, sectional committees have the power authority to formulate different subcommittees or panels or working groups. These are kind of a small groups which work on a specific areas or in specific standards. So it's a kind of working structure of standardization in BIS. One important thing is during the standard formulation, we do not have any voting system. That means everything which is formulated in these technical committees have to be formulated through consensus. So everything is being deliberated, and after consensus only it goes to the next stage. So who are the members of these technical committees? So starting from consumers, government bodies, regulatory bodies, industries, R&D institutes, labs, academia, and from BIS it is a member secretary who is the part of these technical committees. So this is a standard formulation process. It starts from a new work item proposal stage. Then we have a working draft stage. Then we have a preliminary draft stage. Then we have a wide circulation stage. Then after that, final, and then we have a published Indian standard. So I'll just elaborate these stages. So first one is new work item proposal stage. So in this stage, we receive any proposal from anyone in the country. That means anyone can propose a subject to BIS, whether it can be a committee member or an agent general. Indian can also propose these new work item proposals. Then these new work item proposals are considered by the division councils, and if they are approved, then the formulation of preparation of documents, working draft starts. So when this document is kind of a document at its initial stage is finalized, we call it as a working draft, and then it is circulated to a committee members. Like as mentioned earlier, we have a different sectional committees. So like this draft will be circulated to the relevant sectional committee as a preliminary draft, and after their approval and after considering all the comments, this draft goes into wide circulation. So this is the most important stage of all four, because this is the stage when the document is open to all the stakeholders to review them and to comment on these draft Indian standards. So after receiving the comments on these draft Indian standards, it is again discussed. The comments are again discussed and are resolved. And if need arises, if there are any major changes in the documents due to these comments, then it again goes for wide circulation. And if the changes occur due to these comments are the minor changes, then it is considered as a final, that is finalized and sent for printing. And after the gazette notification, it become Indian standard. So as you can see, stage 2 to 3 is a building consensus among panel members, or we can say committee members, that is sectional committees or technical committees. And after stage 3 to 5 is a building national consensus. That means we are seeking inputs, comments from the national stakeholders, like all the public of the country. So this is a standard formation process in which is followed in BIS. So yeah, then as I mentioned, I'm working in petroleum, coal, and related products department, which is a kind of one division council. So these are the different areas which are being covered in this division council, starting from coal, cosmetic fragrances, petroleum, rubber, organic chemicals, dyes and intermediates, and plastics is one of them. So under PCD, we have 15 section committees. The list is given here. And out of these, three committees are pertaining to plastics. One is PCD 12, which is a plastic sector committee. Then we have PCD 21, which deals with the plastic packaging, and then third one is P327, which deals with the methods of sampling and test for plastic section committees. So these three committees are pertaining to the plastics, and standards like for general for raw material, the standards are published in PCD12. For standards related to plastic packaging, it is formulated and published in PCD21, and for test methods, sampling, and all, the standards are formulated and discussed in PCD27. Okay, so now we can come to the our topic, which is plastic pollution, sustainability, and respect all these. So BIS has several standards for recycling, sustainability, covering aspects of sustainability in plastic, like compostable plastic, biodegradable plastics, and few product standards are also there for these materials. So we'll go one by one in these. So first one is an important aspect, to control plastic pollution, or we can say to beat the plastic pollution, is one of the ways is recycling. So it is one of the most important ways in which we can tackle the plastic pollution. So we'll come to the data for about plastic, how much plastic waste is being generated in the upcoming slides. But yeah, so what is recycling? So recycling can be summarized in four terms, which is collection, sorting, processing, and manufacturing. So these four terms very good, very efficiently define what is recycling. So recycling is processing of plastic waste to some useful product. So that can be done through a collection, then it has to be gone through, it has to be go through the sorting, then it has to be processed, and then have to be manufactured in some useful products. So what are the environmental benefits of this recycling? It is okay, so it conserves natural resources, then certainly it reduces the energy consumption, and ultimately it prevents the pollution, and also prevent the filling of landfill spaces. So these are the different environmental impacts of plastic waste. These are persistence in the environment. Due to these, we have a marine pollution and littering in here and there. Then it also causes a terrestrial pollution. And one of the major problem we are hearing these days is microplastics. So due to these plastic pollution only, we are having these problems arising with the microplastics. Then we have then with these plastic waste, certain other problems arises like chemical leaching, greenhouse gas emissions, and habitat destruction. These are the different problems which we can have due to these plastic waste. So I have some data from the UNEP on plastic pollution, just for the reference of you all. Like if you talk about the plastic production annually in globally, so we have around 430 million metric tons of plastic being produced annually. This is I think around the date of 2021 or 22. I'm not sure about that. It is from a UNEP on plastic pollution. Then out of these 430 million metric tons of plastic, we have around two-thirds of plastics which are short-lived and become waste. And out of these two-thirds, 46% waste goes to landfill, 22% become litter, and 1.8 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions are there due to these plastic pollutions or these plastic waste. So same data in the written form. Okay, so if we talk about the sector-wise plastic production and the waste generation, then plastic packaging. Plastics are majorly used in a plastic packaging sector. Then we have in textile sector, then building and construction, electrical, electronics, machinery, transformation, consumer products are the other small sectors in which plastics are used, but majority are used in packaging, textile, and building and construction. So if you talk about the sector which are dominating or which are producing more plastic waste is packaging only. So for 46% of plastic waste are generated through by the plastic packaging industry. Then around 15% is from textile industry, around 12% from consumer products, and another details are given. And the most serious part is that out of these plastic waste, only 21.3% is being recycled. So around 21.8%, it is around 22% are incinerated, and 54% are discarded. So this is a very big problem we have to tackle. So this recycling is a very important subject, which is a very important area, uh, which has to be focused and carefully assessed. Then let us talk about the certain standards which we have on plastic recycling. So there are few standards for plastic recycling. One of the most referred standard, these standards are referred in some regulations like plastic waste management regulation. This standard, that is IS 14534, it is a guideline for the recovery and recycling of plastic waste. So this standard is providing guidelines for the recycling of plastic waste scrap by different techniques based on the technological trends and policy directives. And this standard also provides different process stages, requirements, recommendations, and terminology for which can be applicable in generality. Then we have a kind of this standard can be referred by the recycler to what are the different options available for the recycling. So if we have to deep down in this standard, the standard describes what are the different types of waste we have, what are the different types of recovery options we have, and then it talks about the chain of custody, then how we can have the marking, and all these are the different areas which are covered in this standard. So if you have to talk about the source of plastic materials, or no, sorry, not plastic materials, it's a plastic waste. If we have to talk about, then we can have two types of plastic waste. One is pre-consumer source, another one is post-consumer source. So as these terms suggest, these are already you all must be aware. Pre-consumer means the waste which we get from plastic producers, plastic processors, and other waste which are being generated in the industries, which these are a pre-consumer source. Then we have a post-consumer sources of material, one which is disposable and durable goods, which are used by consumer and then are discarded as a waste. So as I mentioned, the important aspect which is being covered in this standard is recovery options. What are the recovery options we have? So transformation of an input into an output, which is we call as recovery. So the standards talk about the different recovery options we have. So the focus, the thing, the standards talks about two types of recovery options which we can have. One is material recovery, another one is energy recovery. So material recovery consists of three options which we have. One is mechanical recycling, second one is chemical recycling, and third one is organic or biological recycling. And yes, one in recovery option we have is energy recovery, that is the recovery of energy in the cement kiln, or other options we have. So if you have to talk about mechanical recycling, so it is a simple but tedious process. We have to collect the waste, we have to identify the plastic material, then we have to sort these plastic waste, then we have to separate these plastic waste based on their types and forms of these plastic waste. Then we have to grind it, shred it, wash it, and after the certain process we can have the pellets, which can be used in different applications. So earlier, this standard was prohibiting the use of recycled plastic for food contact application. But since the MOEF through plastic waste management rules, I think amendment was issued in 2021, where they have allowed the use of recycled plastic materials for food contact applications. So yes, but there was a certain condition, that is it has to be approved by FSI, that is FSSAI, Food Standards and Safety Authority of India. So currently, for recycled PET, it is allowed to be used for food contact packaging, and other is still to be approved by the FSI. So currently, recycled PET can be used for packing food contact materials, for packing food products. And so, if you talk about this, let us come back to the mechanical recycling. So it is a very simple, yes, but a very tough process. These are the very you all must be like collection, that it has to be collected from the either through the source, or we can collect it from the uh, vendors which are collecting these plastic item. Then the identification of these plastic item can be done through this recycling symbol we have on this plastic item, which gives the number 1 2 3 4 5 up to 7, which facilitate in identifying the different types of plastics. Then the most tedious job is sorting and separating these plastic waste based on their types and forms. So it is most tedious job, and if it is done efficiently, then the recycling will be very good. Then we have grinding, shredding. These are the different mechanical operations which are done to get the final pellet. So what are the different benefits of these mechanical recycling? uh, if in comparison to the of production of virgin plastics, it conserves resources, it conserves energies, and yes, it ultimately reduces the waste. Problems which we are facing in the mechanical recycling is contamination, material limitation, and sorting complexity. So the thing is, waste we are getting is highly contaminated. The thing is, due to the improper sorting at the homes and all, these are different types of plastics and different types of plastic waste, in the sense food food packed plastic waste and other packed plastic waste all are mixed. Just I'm giving example, these are just and the waste we are this recycler gets are mixed waste of food, non-food applications. So this poses a very huge challenge of contamination. So decontaminating these plastic waste is a very tedious job. Then material limitation, the thing is, these recyclers are not getting the proper supply, or we can say proper uh, proper will not be a good word. What I intend to say is they are not getting a same quality of plastic waste which they can process to get the desired quality of uh, recycled plastic. The thing is, sometimes they can get a plastic waste of different parameters and different quality, then sometimes they will get the plastic waste of different quality. So, and that is material intention, in the sense sometimes they will get the waste, sometimes they will not. So this is also one of the problem. And sorting, I have already discussed, it is a sort, and there is a very, since there is a large number of polymers available, so sorting always will be a tedious job. Then another options we have is chemical recycling and organic or biological recycling. The major focus of the IS 14534 is on a mechanical recycling, not so much on chemical and organic, or we can say biological recycling. So yes, these two are also the options which we have, recycling options which we have, and that can also be performed to get the like if we say the chemical recycling is depolymerizing the polymer waste into a monomer, and then again we can monomer can be converted into a polymer. So this is a basic principle of chemical recycling. Then we have a biological or organic recycling. It is like plastic also can be converted into a biomass, that is a CO2 H2O, and with the biomass with the help of microorganisms through the process of biodegradation, which we call it as a biological recycling. So compostable plastics are one of the material which can be treated under, which can be processed through this recycling option. Then, well, as I mentioned, this standard also covers the identification marking, makes mandatory that plastic items has to be marked with these identification number. Like for one is for PET, two is for SDP, three is for PVC. Similarly, four for LDP, five for PP, that is polypropylene, six for polystyrene, and other than these six polymers, everything is covered under seven, that is others. Okay, so another standard which we have with BIS on recycled plastic is IS 14535. The standard, is for designating the recycled material which is ready for, manufacturing of product. So the standard is, currently under revision. It was published in 1998. So it is being revised to update these standards with the latest parameters. Like earlier, this 1998 version of this standard cover talks about only MFI and density for all kind of plastics. So uh, we are trying to formulate the standards which can represent the current parameters which are being used for these recycled plastics. So currently, this standard for P and PP is under development, or like we can say it is a currently at working draft stage. We are formulating that, and other will be formulated in coming days. And yes, it is applicable to recycled plastic material ready for normal use without any further modifications. So it is one of the standards which we have. Another standard is IS 16630 Part 1, post consumer PET bottle recyclates. So earlier it was this 2018 version is for bottle recyclates, but the standard has been taken up for revision I think in 2024, and it is this revised version is currently under printing. And in the standard which is being printed, the scope of the standard has been enhanced to cover the other form of recyclates other than like with bottle. Other forms of recyclates are also being covered. And the standard kind of is a designation standard which lists the four different parameters which we can say designatory properties based on which these recycled PET has to be this recycled PET material has to be designated. One is IV, second is level of contamination, like we have a label contamination, another visible contamination like PVC labels and all. So the second designatory property is level of contamination, the third property is water content and bulk density. These are the four parameters based on which your recycled PT has to be designated. And one important thing is that this standard is not applicable to not applicable to food contact material, like food contact packaging. It cannot be used for food contact packaging. So one line which is referred in the standard is like it does not provide engineering data or data for processing conditions which might be required. In the sense that these standards do not provide the details specific for any application. So this is important form to note. And yes, it is like if you have to talk about the requirements, it is applicable to the rpet in the form of powder, flakes and pellets. Similarly, we have one more standard, that is IS 16591 part 1, which is mixture of polypropylene and polyethylene recycled derived from PP and P used for flexible and rigid consumer packaging. It is similar to a previous standard, which is 16630. So the difference is it is for PE and PP mixture, and the designatory properties are composition, melt mass flow rate, density, and color. So the standard, it is clearly mentioned, does not apply to mixtures of recyclates and virgin resins. So another standard which we recently had published in 2024 is IS 18694, which is adoption of ISO 5677. This standard is a kind of a test method standard, which provides what are the different test methods, testing parameters which are important for this P and PP, recycled P and PP, and it provides the different test methods which can be used for assessing the different parameters for P and PP. Okay, then another standard which is currently in the development is recyclates from post-consumer packaging waste of PET for food content application. So, upon as you all must be aware that FSI has recently has published the guidelines for rpet. So in 2022 they have I think issued a guideline that stating that rpet can be used for food content application. So after that, this PCD12 committee has initiated the formulation of this draft this formulation of the Indian standard on this subject. So this draft was into wide circulation and has recently completed its wide circulation stage, and we had received several comments on this draft, and these comments are under deliberations which are being discussed. And once compiled and consensus built on these comments, decisions are taken, then it will be go for printing. So if you have to talk about the standard is prescribing the qualifications and testing for rpet for which are produced from recycled PET from that is recycled produced from post consumer PET bottles and jars which are previously used for packaging foodstuffs such as drinking water. The thing is, as per the guidelines issued by FSI, this rpet has to be this final rpet has to be produced from a post consumer source. So the standard takes care of that, and it aligns with the plastic waste management rules, CPR regulations, and FSI guidelines as well. So it talks about quality assurance parameters, decontamination, migration limit, that is overall migration, specific migration, and it also talks about sampling, labeling, traceability criteria as well. Then we have several standards which talks about the sustainability aspects, like of the plastics. So one standard is IS 17899T, which is assessment of biodegradability of plastics in varied condition. The standard was also published when these regulation demanded the standards on biodegradability of plastics. So the standard prescribes. Okay, so we'll come to the details in upcoming slides. So these are the four standards which talks about sustainability aspects. One, as mentioned earlier, this 17899 for biodegradability, for assessment of biodegradability of plastics. Second standard is for compostable plastics, and next two standard, that is IS 19109 and IS 19113. These are recently published in 2025, and these are for compostable plastic drinking straws, and compostable plastic shopping bags. So if you have to give more highlights on the requirements and criteria classifications of these four standards. So IS 17899T, which is for assessment of biodegradability of plastics in varied conditions, prescribes the different kind of conditions which we have: aerobic, anaerobic conditions, and these have to be tested in different media, that is soil media, aqueous media, and composting conditions, or sludge conditions. So these are the different conditions which are given in the standards, and the basic requirements to pass this biodegradability criteria is 90% biodegradation within a stipulated time. That is, if your product is under soil condition, it has to be past 90% criteria within 6 months. But yes, if your this biodegradation is going on after 6 months, it can goes up to 2 years. That is, maximum time is 2 years. Within 2 years, you have to claim your material as a biodegradable plastic. You have to get the 90% biodegradation within 2 years. And other than that, we have certain other parameters, that is earthworm test, ecotoxicity test, and I think one more is, yes, microplastics. So these are the other three parameters which has to be tested. And if you talk about this toxicity and heavy metal limits, these are derived from solid waste management rules. So this is a basic background, like basic scope, basic parameters of these this IS 17899T. And since for compostable plastics we have a separate ISO 17088. So if any material being tested as in composting conditions, then it has to fulfill the requirements that are given in ISO 17088. Okay, so different conditions are there, like aqueous condition, compost, anaerobic, heavy metal limits are there, toxicity on biomass, these are covered in biodegradation. Then we have a compostable plastic standards. So it also talks about four things, that is disintegration during composting, ultimate aerobic biodegradability, adverse compost effects, and heavy metals. Yes, just one important thing to note, that for these different conditions which I have talked about in for biodegradability of plastic, that is aqueous, compost, anaerobic, soil media, we have different test method standards. So yes, this is a very important point. And out of these, one for composting condition also, we have two standards: ISO 14855 part 1 and part 2, which are referred in ISO 17088. So this standard talks about four requirements. One is disintegration during composting, another one is ultimate aerobic biodegradability, adverse compost impact, and hazardous constituent control. So these limits for heavy metals and all are taken from solid waste management rules, just for reference. Then we have one standard for industrial compostable plastic drinking straws. It is based on ISO 5424, and it is a standard for drinking straws, which provides the basic requirements like some mechanical and physical requirements. Along with that, these material has to comply with the ISO 17088, because if they are compostable, they have to fulfill the requirements of ISO 17088. So yes, there are some mechanical and physical requirements are there that can be referred from this standard. Similarly, we have for shopping bags. Okay, yeah, for shopping bags, yeah, for this drinking straws, these like the physical specs are like length, thickness, diameter, volumiformity. Performance parameters are damage resistance, spoon, and distance. These are the different parameters which are covered. You all can refer these standards for the more details. Similarly, for plastic compostable plastic shopping bags, we have this. This is based on ISO 5412, published by ISO. These are, yes, applicable to bags made from compostable resin. An important point is to note that it is the standard is only applicable to shopping bags only, not for bags which are used for packing or any other purpose. So these are classified in two classes based on their parameter, based on their performance. Parameters which are being tested is tensile strength, dart impact, leakage, lifting, and yes, the material has to comply with the requirements of ISO 17088. So one standard which is published in 2025 is principle for the analysis of microplastics present in the environment. As you may be aware that this for claiming your material as a biodegradable, to get the certificate, your material has to show that there are no microplastic generation. So for the identification of microplastics in the biomass and all, the standard has been adopted, ISO 24187, so that we can test whether the biomass is having microplastics or not. So it has different detection techniques like FTIR, Raman, GCMS, and DSC. These are the different techniques which are given in the standards, based on which the detection of the macroplastics can be done in the biomass and all. So yes, it is like I've come to the end of my presentation. So uh, yes, we have a role in this plastic recycling, as I mentioned, because we have these options of biodegradable plastic, compostable plastics, but yet I feel like recycling is the most efficient way to reduce the plastic pollution which we have. So what are our role is like we can start proper sorting and disposal of these plastic waste, because once these plastic waste are sorted, then it can be easily recycled. Then ultimately, yes, we have to reduce single use plastic so that we get the less plastic waste. Then before saying no to plastic, that is, we should know our plastic, because I have heard this quote from a committee chairperson that before saying we should not say no to our plastic, that is no, and we should know the plastic, that is KNOW. So it is I have liked this quote, so I'm quoting this. And yes, for that we should educate our consumers about the plastic, different types of plastics, their recycled plastics, and so that they are aware and they are doing the sorting at their home as well. Then yes, if possible, choose recycled plastic and always stay informed. Thank you. It is just the same thing. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. That's
Thank
all
you.
from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Shivam. Thank you so much
Okay.
for that elaborate presentation and very insightful presentation on various standards on
Yeah.
plastics that are available for the industry at least to refer.
Yes.
And maybe all this you must have, at least you could have mentioned that, all the IS standards are freely downloadable. Uh,
No, no,
something
ma'am.
it's
I will correct you in this regard, ma'am. The thing is, the in the standards which are published indigenously by BIS are free of
yeah,
cost.
yes.
The standards which we adopt
Hmm.
is price publication. Yes, they are less in price as compared to ISO if you purchase it from ISO, but they are price publication. Yeah.
Thank you. Because I'm talking about IS standards only, not ISO standards, because most often, even the industry is not aware that the IS standards are also freely downloadable. Because so many standards that you have shown, at least the IS standards, we can
Yeah.
all download and use. A very elaborate session on the standard development process, and also request you to mention to the stakeholders that they can also be part of the standards development process. They can write to you where they have to write. See, again, many of this are actually not known to the industry, that they can also be part of this.
Okay, then just give me 2 more minutes, ma'am. I'll
Please.
share my screen and go through our website, and
At
then you
least just
all.
mention that, they'll
Yeah.
interested ones can always take part.
Certainly, ma'am. Just so for reference of you all, our website is bis.gov.in. Okay, just a minute. Okay. So just a minute. What is, yes, website is bis.gov.in. So as ma'am mentioned that these are Indian standards which are published indigenously are free of cost. Yes, they can be downloaded very easily. For that, you have to create your login ID that you can create very easily with your either with your email ID or with your mobile number. Once you create that, you can view all the standards, or you can download these Indian standards. For that, you have to go to this standards portal, standard tab. Then you can click on this download in standard. Then you have to log in. Okay, yeah. Then for downloading this Indian standard, because BIS sell or manage these Indian standards through BSB Edge. So you also have to create your login ID to the BSB Edge. Once you create that, you can download the standard. Like if you have to search any standard, let's say 178,990, which is for biodegradability of plastic, you can just download you'll get the details of the standard. Once you log in, you can download it very easily, and you can review the standard. It is for just for downloading. Then if you have to talk about the other thing, like how to become the member, how to give the comments on Indian standards, so everything is can be accessed through the standard. If you click on the standard, it will redirect to a new web page. So you will get the every details here. So BI is generally formulates the standard action and national action plan, which will provide the how on what areas BIS will work in upcoming year. Then we have our standard formulation manual, how standards are being formulated, a strategic roadmap, catalog of standards, weekly standard bulletins, like the standards which are published. Important standards, important published standards are uh, information about those are given there. Then we have these options, join technical committees. If you create a login, then you can just click on this. You will get the after login, you will get the details of all the committees and in BIS. And if you wish to be the part of that committee, you can certainly be the member. You can send us the request. If you submit the request, it will come to directly to us, or it will come to the our head, because if you'll mention that a desired committee, it will come to us. Otherwise, if you'll not mention the committee, it will go to the head, and then he can allocate to us. If you have to share our comments, then you have to just go on the site, click on that tab, share or comments. I think either you have to log in or you can share, you can see the standards. Okay, so here you have two tile. One is published standard and another one is wide circulations draft. So we can click each one by one. So you will get the list of all the standards which are published. Please note that all the Indian standards are dynamic in nature. The revision of this standard can be taken at any time. Like today I am publishing this standard, any standard, and on the same day you can give us comments. And if the comments are technically justified and it is okay, then we have to initiate the amendment. So yes, you can just go to the department which you are like division council which you are looking for, like for plastics and all. You can go to PCD. Some standards are also in TXD. Some product standards are in CED. So just you have to identify to which department these standards are pertaining. If you know the IS number, you can go to the know your standard. Okay, if you go to the know your standard, you can just type any IS number which you are looking for. You will get the details, like under which department the standard is pertaining to, which committee it pertains, and who is the dealing member secretary from BIS. You can get all the details from know your standard. And if you have to comment on any standard, let us say if you have to comment on standard published by BIS. Okay, so I think it's a very used data, so it will take some time. We'll come to that later. Okay, and similarly, VBIS also issued the documents in wide circulation. You can also comment on any of these Indian standard, these draft Indian standards. You can open it, you can view it, and you can give your comment. This draft download documents under wide circulation can be downloaded from up to this time frame which are given, like up to the last date of comments. You can download it and you can upload your comments. For that, you have to create your login ID so that we have the data web provided as the comment and all. Just if you have to seek any clarification and all, then we can have the data. So just you have to create your login ID, then you can get access to everything which okay. So as mentioned earlier, you can give your comments. So all the standards which are published by BIS details are given here. You can always submit your comment after, I think, here through this tab. Either you have to create a login ID. Okay, so yes, these are the few things. And just a more minute. Also, if you want to propose a new subject for the standard formulation, you can certainly do it from this tab, which is propose a new work item. And okay, then if you have to get the other details, okay, no, that's all I think for general information. And if you are a committee member, then you have another, all these other tabs are generally for committee members to view the details and all. I think if you need any other information, then I can certainly, I'll be happy to share the information. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I think, ma'am, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So very elaborate presentation. You have covered about standard development process, about your PCD division, recycling processes and challenges, various Indian standards that are available for recycled plastics, sustainable plastics, biodegradable plastics, etc. So there's one question. Actually, I saw somebody asking, is there any Indian standard for import of plastic waste or pet waste? is a question from Enviro Annotations.
Import of pet waste.
Yeah,
Okay,
any
the thing is,
standards?
ma'am,
Mm,
BIS standards, we do not
mm,
talk about import and export. We
right,
formulate standards for products.
right.
So for PT, we have standards.
Yeah.
For our RPET also, we have standard that is for non-food grade.
Mm,
For food grade, the standard is under development. Like for import and export, you have to go to the regulator. Like for
mm,
this, for generally for plastics, resin, and all, DCPC is the regulator, and for import and export you have to contact DGFT and all. So it is outside the purview of BIS to talk
right.
about import and export.
Maybe
Yeah,
it is actually plastic waste or pet waste standards he must be asking.
yeah. For that, I think I have shared the details, and
Yeah.
I think IS is 16630
Mm,
part 1,
mm.
and IS 13193 is for PET.
And I just wanted to ask one question.
Yeah.
Actually, we are talking about like we hear so much about carbon credits now.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading globally they have something called plastic credits, waste recycle credits, which are available in the global markets.
Mm-hmm.
So for businesses which are doing this recycling sustainable plastics, so they are eligible to get plastic credits, waste recycle credits. And
Okay.
these are also kind of linked or accepted for carbon credits now, I think. I really do not know whether we have this scenario in the country. But if there are some credits available to the businesses for implementing all this, they'll be the happiest lot.
Ma'am, again,
And now maybe
we
I might have to ask this question to the subsequent speaker who will be talking
yes,
about ESG reporting. Now, I just wanted to park this idea, maybe internally in BIS also. Now, you
I'll
can
look
discuss.
for the option because, ma'am, we have like in BIS recently a new department has been created,
Mm,
that is Environment and Ecology Department.
mm,
They might be doing something on that aspects, but in
mm.
PCD we are not doing on that subject.
Yeah, you can
They
take
might
it
be
up
doing
with
something on. Yeah,
take
I'll
it up
discuss
with
with
the
them.
Bureau of Energy Efficiency. That's the body for carbon credits,
Yes,
CCTM in the country. Maybe you can take it up with them. So
certainly.
thank you so much for such
Thank you, ma'am.
an elaborate presentation. We have
Yeah,
learned so much in the process. So
thank
I
you.
hope you'll stay with us for some more time. If you have time
Certainly, ma'am.
permits, fine.
I'll try, ma'am.
Right.
Okay.
No issues. Thank you. Thank you once
Okay, ma'am.
again.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll just move on to the next
Thank
session.
you, ma'am.
Thank you. So sorry, we're just running out of time a little, but we wanted to have a detailed session so that we'll have some learning happening here. We will also learn so much in the process. So the next session we have is actually on a very interesting topic, is on ESG reporting framework, the plastics and microplastics pollution, and what are their ESG implications. We have our speaker, Nishita Gupta, who's a group head head for sustainability and ESG from Suzlon Energy. I hope we have Gupta with us. Aarti, can you just, did you check?
I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah, thank you so
I'm
much.
there.
Thank
I'm
you.
there. Yeah. Yeah.
So just quick introduction. Thank you for joining us again this year. Last year also, we had a very insightful session from you, I think during the November month quality series, if I'm right. So Ms. Gupta is actually group head for sustainability and ESG at Suzlon Energy. And she is driving the sustainability transformation and ESG initiatives across the organization. Almost about 2 decades of experience, who's worked on sustainability, ESG, product stewardship, biodiversity management, carbon neutrality, and circular economy. And she held various key positions in Bureau Veritas and TUV Sud, Reliance Power, and various other organizations. And she is a leadership chair for the ESG committee at TIC Council, which is a Testing, Inspection, and Certifications Council at Brussels. And she's also a technical committee member for BIS working group and on the ESG reporting standards. So she has various awards and recognitions to her credit in the space of sustainability, as Sustainability Leader of the Year and Most Impactful Sustainability Leader. And as an academic background, she holds a PG in Water Resources Management from Terry University and extensive experience in the industry, consulting, and private equity domain. And she has actually all her contributions were highly impactful, and she's worked across diverse sectors covering power, mining, renewable energy, cement, and infrastructure, focusing on driving sustainability strategies and net zero and circularity across all these segments. So over to you, Ms. Gupta, and we're going to learn something insightful and interesting from you because it's a very interesting topic, and all of us are looking forward to learn something from your session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me over here. I will just present my screen and
Yeah.
present a deck. So just
Yes.
give me a moment while I do that. Okay, is my screen up?
Yes. Visible?
Super. Thank you so much. I think what could be the best day to speak about plastic when the theme today is Beat Plastic Pollution, being World Environment Day. I think this is one motto that is going to be imbibed not just for today, but also going further in the entire year and even going further. I think plastic is one challenge which everybody is struggling through, and we really need to talk about it. So before we land up to the reporting part of it, why we are talking about it? Because this, when we talk about even microplastics, it's in every nook and corner. Is it not on the slide mode?
Actually, that's what I'm just about to interrupt.
Ah,
Full screen mode, please, actually. No, this
yeah,
is
I'm just
actually this.
wondering.
Uh, how
Okay,
about the
just
audience?
give me a
Because I
moment.
could, yeah,
Okay, let me just present my screen
please. Yeah,
again.
sure.
Yeah, is it
Yeah,
better?
is it better?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay, so we were
Okay,
just
so we were
talking
just
about
talking about
there is a lot of
there is a
No,
lot
issue.
of
I think
no,
you're
I think
using
you're
two
using two
systems.
systems
Logged in
logged
from
in
two
from two
devices.
devices.
Maybe if you can
Maybe
log
if you
out
can
of one
log out of
device.
one device.
Technological challenges.
Just
Can you
trying.
hear me? Can you hear me now?
Uh, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, yeah. Now you're clear. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I
Right.
think, yeah, there was a lot of issue.
Yeah.
Is it better? You can see my screen?
Now we can see full screen. Perfect.
Super. Thank you so much. So I was just saying that what could be a day better than today when we are talking about plastic pollution, when the motto as well is beat plastics pollution on the World Environment Day, because now everybody realizes that plastic is one problem statement as good as hazardous waste, which we should be talking about it and we should be worried about it now, even before we talk about circularity goals and many things which are for a long-term perspective. So when we talk about plastic, it's at every part of the globe. It's even within the human bodies on the minutest thing that we are consuming, and even as per empirical studies, it has been observed even in getting into the human brains and the things that we consume from vegetables, fruits, milk, and even to the baby milk powder and baby feed. When you talk about SDGs, there are a lot of alignment which we need to really be worried about and talk about it now. Apart from the climate action correlation, which should be established in every organization, when we talk about the quantum of waste on plastic and correlation with respect to the product carbon footprint, this is must to have to ensure that what exactly is going to the contribution when we talk about greenhouse gas emissions, because that's worrisome when we talk about the global picture. Apart from the contribution towards the SDG goal 14, 15, life below water, life on land, even on clean water and sanitation because of the microplastics issues getting in over there. And without support from suppliers, the responsible consumption and production cannot happen. So SDG 12 also getting triggered over here. So when we talk about the voluntary framework, these are the ones on the SDG mapping which should be kept into mind when we talk about the plastic world. On a reality check, I think it has been talked already about it, but the point is that 400 million tons of plastic getting produced worldwide, out of which only 9% is getting recycled. And when we talk about the environmental social governance implications, one thing which is a point of concern is not just biodiversity, wherein the species are getting impacted on land and on water bodies, but when we talk about the mitigation part of it on the social and environmental cost of plastic pollution, it ranges between US dollar 300 billion to 600 billion across all geographies. So that's which is really important for us to understand. It's getting into landfills, yes. It's getting into ocean, and in fact, the quantum of waste is around 8 million tons. This is about microplastics from every nook and corner. We see what's going in, a food chain being represented towards the right. When we throw a bottle, how exactly, it becomes a part of the chain, and even the fishes that we consume getting trapped and microplastics getting in even the human bodies. At the end of it, it's impacting human health. So if pollution doesn't give you adequate reason to address the solution, I think human health should definitely motivate you to take adequate steps now to be geared up for a future which is plastic free, and think about solutions and alternates in place of plastics, wherein you can come up with within your own sector, within your industry, within your campus, and think about what could be the other alternatives. If not, at least start with the optimization. I think nothing like that. So and the fragmentation and the microplastics, the reasons known to everyone, it's impacting in a big way, and it's coming out not just from the industries but also from the personal hygiene products, the washing in clothing, in even in a washing machine, and it's impacting human health, wildlife on a bigger chunk. When you talk about the ESG aspects, first let's understand what ESG means: environmental, social, and governance. And in when we talk about plastic as a topic, all of them gets correlated. Environment, as the term suggests, plastic and plastic pollution anyways getting correlated to the environmental pillar. But social, because of the impact on health or the impact on community, a lot of impacts getting in over there. Whether we have even included the stakeholders which matters to take decision on plastic, so that's where the social pillar getting triggered. And on the governance part of it, your compliance, penalties, how do you take it up to the next level? Whether there is a transparency in the disclosure, whether there is a mechanism or a step being taken up by the board and the management, that's where the governance pillar comes in. So in a way, all E, S, and G pillars are getting triggered. The first and foremost question which we should ask ourselves is about materiality assessment. which in a way is the topic, that material topics, the topics which matters for the company, for the organization wherein we are working with. Is it an area wherein we need to emphasize, wherein we need to put up a lot of thrust to ensure that it matters for our business, it matters for the complete operations, for the supply chains, and even it is part of the stakeholder expectation wherein we have to work on. And is it also being worked on the peers? That way we should come up with at least material topic, and in 90% of the cases plastic is definitely material topic wherever we go. How do we deal with it depends on the segment, depends on the way you are utilizing plastic and what would be the end game, how you dispose it. Second is the life cycle assessment. Now, when we know that plastic is a topic which needs to be taken into consideration as one of the thrust area under environmental pillar to be worked upon, you cannot stop your work. You have to reveal what's going on going further as well. Um, it's high time to understand on the category of plastics what you are being using, and what's happening around in the overall plastic consumption, or in the generation part of it. The products which you're generating have got more plastic materials, or it's because of the raw material that you are consuming as having more plastic, or is it just because of the packaging that the entire plastic footprint is overshooting? So that's where we need to first work it out, and then get into the life cycle assessment as per ISO 14040, ISO 14044, well-known standards to get onto the life cycle assessment. But this is giving us enough reasons to work out what exactly is going to be the environmental impact of the product that you manufacture, of the product you consume, or of the product with by which you are known for, or you would like to either reduce, or it's going to be there even going further as well, so that you are well acquainted with what's going to be the challenge, not just at this point of time, but how do we dispose, how do we manage the end products and ensure that it is not getting empty into landfill. If it is getting up into landfill, how much of that proportion is getting into landfill? Is it more than 50%, 80%? Because we haven't taken any measures for recycle, reuse, recovery. That's where we need to act. Circular economy, the ultimate goal should be circular economy. It cannot happen overnight, but wherever we work towards waste minimization, even towards plastic waste minimization, that's where the work should start now. And once you get results of life cycle assessment, once we are very sure about who is supplying which raw material and how do we work out on the minimization of raw materials, minimization of the plastic waste at the end of it, that's going to give us a big edge on to get onto the circular economy. Because from the design principles, from the raw material consumption, and from the overall production, we're going to get a fair idea of where do we stand and how far we are from the goal of circularity. In order to get your circular goals, the support from suppliers is must. So without a doubt, the transition is not going to happen clearly at the moment, but it's going to happen gradually, for which we need to keep on working on. And very important is the stakeholder engagement. It cannot be done only internally within the organization. For the materiality, for ensuring plastic being a topic being taken within the organization, dealing with the multiple stakeholders, even your customers, suppliers, local communities, or even pollution control board, to understand concerns about plastic pollution with respect to your sector, your industry, your work stream, is important to map their expectation, to ensure that everything is being aligned, and it's not just our thought process getting in that we believe that it needs to be handled only by this. So it needs to be taken up of the outside in approach and inside out approach, and also getting into the peer part of it. So an effective stakeholder engagement is definitely required, even going further, to address any sort of reputational damage which could have come up in due to mismanagement of waste, and the reputational risk which the plastic mismanagement has got. And this is very important in context of India, in context of the legal implications, and the apart from the regulatory regime, also the reporting framework. Because if the stakeholder engagement has not happened, and we are just working on what we believe is the right way, things have been very and proven a disaster to some of the companies in the recent past. So this gives us reasons to work out on what should be done in a thorough manner, which matters for the industry, so that once it is being done, we are aligned what is required to be done now and as a roadmap for a long-term scenario. So we can gear up ourselves in a stepwise approach, but this needs to be happen in a sequential one. And of course, the regulatory compliance, which is not just limited to the hazardous part of it. Plastic also had got a lot of legal implications. Though the penalty and monetary fines could be less, but the damage to the reputation of the company, and which could ultimately lower down the ESG scores of the company, and also could create issues while investors are discussing with you to help understand any sort of challenges or compliance issues in the past, can really lead you up into a big problem, not confined to an year, but even going further, because that becomes a gray area, and it's more about the reputational damage. So clearly, the materiality life cycle assessment and to be worked on, and the circularity is the end goal, which should be worked out now, not just with our own perceptions, but with a very thorough deep dive stakeholder engagement. Regulatory compliance should be the bare minimum to be worked about. um, this could not be done only internally within the organization. So a lot of collaboration, working together is going to land us up, all of us to the next way on the circularity. Ellen MacArthur Foundation, for example, has been working in a great deal towards new plastic economy global commitment, and they have been talking about it, which is bringing around businesses, government, and even many stakeholders, including NGOs, academic institutions, to bring around really good amount of work sector-wise to be catered around the plastic waste and pollution. Apart from this, there are other coalitions, plastic pollution coalition. We have plastic pact, single-use plastic directive as well, which is there in EU, and in India, anyways, pact is also existing. So what happens when we are on the beaches? We see things like that at the other extreme. Once we are taking a stroll on the beaches, and we definitely don't want to ever get a feel like this. Neither we want our next generation to even go through all what we are seeing at the moment. So it's not the work of only government or some of the volunteers. It's our work, and we need to ensure that whatever work we are doing is future proof. So for that, what are the mechanism? We'll discuss more on that. But India, of course, leading the charts all the time. India is not far. Beforehand, I'd just like to get a quick heads up. Is my screen on? Can we see country-wise profiling at the moment? Hello?
Can see that.
Hello?
Yes, yes, it's
Okay.
visible.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so though India is leading all the way, but this time not for a very good reason, because even in the country-wise profiling, while we talk about the plastic waste generation, India is at number 3 in the overall most plastic waste generation, and the another index which is going really bad for us is a mismanaged plastic waste index. So on that perspective, I mean, it's on the generation plus the mismanagement part of it. This gives us reasons for all of us to work together, and it cannot be just attributed to the government, or it can be just given to certain sectors or industries, and they're the ones who are going to drive it. It's everybody's contribution beyond the rules which are already enforced. Because as a country also, we need to do a lot more to come up and meet up the requirements, or else our performance will be low. And even the global projection shows, even if we work on the business as usual scenario, with the climate mitigation policies globally, with the sort of efforts which is going on, it is anyways envisaged that the plastic life cycle at the end of it is going to emit around 2.8 gigatons of carbon dioxide emissions annually, which is roughly 5% of the global greenhouse gas emissions in the business as usual scenario, which is being termed over here as BAU scenario, which I've termed up over here. So we now need to work across all sectors on not just on take make waste model, but getting onto circularity now. Instead of thinking that circularity is not for India or it's going to take a bit of time, or even waiting for the policies to come up, though the things are already there partially. So the legal concerns, a lot of states already announced a ban on single-use plastic, but seeing the choking of wetlands, waterways, but still there are a lot of difficulties which people have seen in the enforcement of the legislations. And despite the ban, we see repeated incidences of single-use plastic being disposed of on the waterways. Many of the plastic waste streams, around 20%, is being also diverted into incineration. So a lot of things are happening around, but at the end of it, it's also going to impact human health if at all. Biodiversity is one of the area, wherein you feel that biodiversity will be considered later, but at the end of it, it's also impacting the health part of it. So that's where we need to be worried about, even on the greenhouse gas emission or at least human health. And in a way, we are going to tackle the biodiversity challenge as well when we are going to talk about plastic waste. So it is attributing to multiple things on soil, on groundwater. So it's not just soil, it's about water, it's about consumption, the water quality, water quantity, consumption part of it. It's also, apart from soil quality, it's on the health part of it, the health statistics. Um, it's also impacting the entire waterways and even the biodiversity, and even getting into the food chain. And this is what we need to really take it seriously. We have already talked about the plastic consumption and a lot of things happening around, but efforts are happening around. It's not that efforts are not going on. People are working towards recyclable materials and mostly the plant-based fibers. And the textile industry ministry in textile is also taking a lot of bold steps to get in over there as to what can be done. But even beyond that, even in the construction sector, energy efficient building materials are being designed right now, which wherein people are talking about the embodied carbon content, and it's quite a serious approach happening around on the building and construction sector. Apart from textile, it's even in the automobile sector when people are talking about what we need to do on the car design, even from not just on the seat covers but also on the dashboard components. So a lot of things are happening around, and industry is looking out for alternatives, not just on the packaging material but also on the construction material, on the automobiles, and across all sectors as to what we need to do. The legal enforcement tool, it's not that it's just here and there, it's very much there in the proper plastic waste management rules. The enforcement, the understanding is a gray area, wherein we need to act, wherein we need to work on, wherein we need to ensure that the things are happening around. With the upcoming of with the things which are already enforced on extended producer responsibility, things have been enforced to quite a great deal. But in the next coming years, of course, the government is going to take strict actions, and we also need to be mindful about it. What exactly is the roles and responsibilities under EPR when we need to file EPR, and we should be mindful about what exactly we need to do on the plastic waste management. The rules are very well articulated. It defines what the roadmap, what exactly is the responsibility. It's about our understanding and ensuring that the things are very much there, and we need to act to ensure that the optimization, reporting, handling, management, and as well as the recycling happens in a proper way. Um, the rules are talking about the segregation, collection, transportation, recycling, and what do we need to do with the compliance with the standard. Very well defined of the user responsibility, and it cannot be done that a lot of the sites are being just clubbed up, and then we are just passing on our parcels to somebody else. So it's very clearly defined what needs to be done, and there have been significant number of amendments also happening around, wherein the responsibilities are defined, wherein the thickness requirement of the plastic bags, even to ensure that there is no single-use plastic being used, is already there. So that's high time, if at all we are not aware as to what single-use plastic is, and even on the thickness dimension, that's also the ministry has defined very clearly. The non-penalty is not just on the cost, which is there in the violation of offense, but it's also leading to a reputational damage, because once you're dealing with your customers and investors, what matters is any non-compliance is a great amount of issue for you. So when you talk about the plastic waste management, of course, it talks about what we need to do, what is the thickness and things which need to ensure. EPR defines how exactly EPR, your extended producer responsibility targets which you should need to take up, and depending on the category of waste, what you need to do. First, there should be a logical understanding on understanding your waste, what sort of waste is there being generated by you, being available with you at the end of the premises. The areas of concern is the inadequate reporting across all sectors, because the waste inventory itself is not complete, and people are worried and skeptical about not reporting in the proper way. That's why the waste inventorization is not happening in a thorough manner. Once the inventorization is there, it's more important to understand what steps are being taken up even for the recycling of waste. And even if we're taking it up to the end user, or to take it up with the recycler that is there authorized, if you don't want to do yourself, and if you're doing with an authorized agency, or the arrangements that you have made on the EPR recycler, waster should know where the waste is going. So what exactly your waste handler is doing with that particular waste. If he has taken this much of volume of waste, what exactly happened with that volume of waste, it should be traceable. So traceability gives you an edge on, because that's not what I am saying. It's also, apart from the rules, even it is defined under SEBI's BRSR. So at the moment, I mean, of course, on the people, which is on producer, importer, brand owners, which is defined as PBO. So on that one, whatever is your turnover scale of operations, if you're there, you're there. So on EPR, of course, the action plan needs to be submitted. What are you going to do, and how much of the waste you are handling? All the certificates are also supposed to be submitted, even the plastic credit that you have generated in the entire year. So it's an annual basis. There should not be any catch. You should know exactly how much of the waste you generated, how much of that is being recycled. If it is being recycled, if 50% of the waste is recycled, 80%, whatever it is, that has to be done. So the rules, and there should be a scalability model that should be done, and you can take it up to the next series as well. On the processing side of it, whosoever is taking your waste, what exactly they're doing with that, that should be available. It shouldn't happen that they're just taking your waste and then they're telling you we are doing only shredding and we don't know what's going to happen later on. We must know what's happening at the end of it. Is it being converted to pellets? Pellets are being used for what? Or is it being just converted to shredder by shredding, and then we don't have any visibility of that waste stream afterwards? So that should be the traceability on which we need to ensure as a producer part of it. The portal, we should be aware that exactly we should be logging in and putting our details over there. We should be mindful about it, because the timelines are already well defined, and what's happening over there, once it's being strictly enforced and things are being taken up even for understanding what went on in the last 2 3 years, I think it's high time that the optimization and the recyclability will be very much there transparently in the picture. uh, Beyond the umbrella EPA Act, polluter pays principle, and plastic waste rules, EPR guidelines, we also have SEBI. Um, SEBI is coming up. In any ways, SEBI has enforced on BRSR. One very interesting thing which has happened with SEBI, what we have come up, we being also in the top 250 listed, 150 listed companies. And this year, since it was for top 250 listed companies, the circular released on 28th of March 2025. Again, I'm saying 28th of March 2025, which means all the things which are applicable for the previous financial year, FY 24-25. In that, there is a clause which says each category of waste, what you're generating through recycling, reuse, recovery, and everything, there has to be a certificate from vendors. So that means a traceability principle for all the waste streams. And when you talk about SEBI, they talk about everything: your garden waste, your food waste, be it any sort of waste. There cannot be anything called mixed waste. And in terms of even plastic waste, what is happening around a circular dated 28th of March 2025 is also applicable for your disclosure dated 31st of March 2025. So on that, it just changed the entire dynamics, and everybody started getting onto the traceability mode and trying to understand more from their vendors on each and every waste stream as to what has happened with the waste which they have collected, The volume is known, but the end way to treat the waste or to dispose, recycle, because you gave it to a recycler, and what happened with that, then the second agency needs to inform that happened. So it changed the entire dynamics on the traceability part of it. Regarding reporting, you name it, and all the regulations and the global standards, they ask for the disclosure, be it sustainable development goals with which we started this one on the global goals and principles, the reporting framework, be it GRI, even SASB when we talk about your disclosure on the waste part of it, and Indians BRSR rules, and in fact all other legislations, even globally, they talk about it. Even the WEF, World Economic Forum ESG requirements are also focusing on the waste part of it. So coming on to the SEBI's BRSR requirement, it talks about the 9 attributes even on the BRSR core, wherein embracing circularity on waste management is one part which you cannot avoid. You have to deal with it. So if it is there on the SEBI BRSR and BRSR core for that matter, they talk not just about waste generation, they talk about embracing circularity on the waste management part of it, and that's very much there. So that's the beauty of SEBI's BRSR. If you look at it, the first point itself is plastic waste. So they talk about what is the plastic waste, how much is the generation, how much is the intensity, and what did you do at the end of it. And now coming up with a new requirement of traceability as well. It asks you for your waste management on each and every stream, including the plastic waste. So it's becoming quite deep when we are talking about not just generation or or just a bit of management and handling. It is more about intensity. It is more about how do we optimize this particular waste stream, and what is the end outcome? Are we going to optimize it or not? um, and the most tricky part is optimization along the value chain. So that's where the things are. So even on this one, sorry for the title, wrong title, even on the plastic waste, what is happening around, very key question being asked even right now, even though the suppliers, because the suppliers data is also not being collected. So if it is getting into incineration mode or a landfill mode, so that's going to totally take you away from your zero waste to landfill targets in case you have any. So incineration or the landfill is not being taken up to the zero waste to landfill. So that anyways needs to be avoided. And what's happening on the recycle reuse percentage as well, whether it is increasing year on year. So 3-year trend analysis also talks about uh, the plastic waste generation intensity and the efforts to ensure recyclability. And one very important part when we talk even on the circularity is whether there is any use of single-use plastic at any given point of time. So because it's already banned, but still is it there in some way or the other? So that's required, whether we are tracking or we are still using single-use plastic. That's where we need to work on. Regarding plastic neutrality, there are other advanced schemes also which are available, not just globally, but also in India. And that's ambition which we should have definitely as an organization. It's not something that the things are not available. Things are available. The industry is working towards it. There are a lot of R&D efforts going on at the moment while I'm speaking on use of plastic based components to be utilized as in the mainstream and to be replacing the plastic part of it. But there are a lot of things happening around with the academic institution, and just taking time, especially on the technical feasibility, and also testing under different climatic conditions and ensuring that the availability of the raw materials is happening within India. Also within the growth period of the substances from the origin, the biogenic origin, that's also happening around. So this is on the plastic credit scheme, which is also there on the collection methodology, channelization, recycling, wherein one recovery token is being given for 1 metric ton of plastic overall, and this plastic neutrality certifications are also available at this point of time, and it's helping quite a couple of organizations on what are you working on, plastic credits or on the neutrality part of it. There both the things are available. So I think it should not be a challenge, provided we all work towards in the same direction. We have making efforts to think out of the box and do some sort of R&D because it's not that plastic cannot be avoided. It can be avoided provided we are ready for it and we are ready to accept the challenge to think on what could be the viability of the other alternative raw material. Beyond that, there are also global schemes like Plastic Waste Reduction Standard. Vera has got a standard already available. And also there are plastic neutrality standards available even on global scale. So that's where the things are, and I would like to stop over here and hear more from you.
Thank you. Thank you for that elaborate, very, very elaborate presentation on the ESG requirements and the impact of ESG on this plastic sector. You have actually covered many key points about various ESG requirements for the plastics and plastic sector industry and the impacts and the various sustainability efforts that are happening across the sectors, the legislation for plastic waste handling and management, the rules in India, and the PIBO regulation for EPR. And the EPR portal actually is very interesting because not aware of there being a portal where actually we can look at many things. And BRSR for core assurance. And the question that I was asking the previous speaker about the plastic credits, you have answered it actually. There has to be some kind of a motivation, a carrot for the industry. Though these are all voluntary initiatives, no doubt about it, but then just to kind of give them some encouragement. When we are talking about carbon credits, why not plastic credits? Why not some credits for waste management, waste recycling efforts? And Vera standards is what is being referred. So there are a lot of insights with the national standards and international standards. And but somehow I really wonder because on one side the BRSR and the ESG reporting, the corporate reporting is for the businesses with a higher maturity levels, but then at a bottom of the pyramid, every small and micro business also should implement some of this as a voluntary responsibility. Then, but we really do not have any specific frameworks. So we can only say you implement 1/10th of this, 1/20th of this BRSR, but some meaningful framework, some lighter version to motivate and encourage the micro and small businesses in the country. About this, we can call it as business reporting, corporate reporting, enterprise reporting. That's a different issue to demonstrate their initiatives on waste reduction, waste management, pollution less initiatives. Maybe something is needed in the country which is missing at the moment. And say, like, for example, Ministry of Corporate Affairs came out with a responsible business conduct framework, which is voluntary for every business. Something like this is also needed. Maybe all of you have to, since you're in the committee of BIS, you may all have to take up this. And thank you so much for a very elaborate presentation. And actually, I could see that some of the slides you couldn't focus much due to lack of time.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just add on to that what you said on the standard. There is also a standard that we are working within BIS for the MSME. So very well, pointed out on this particular thing that we were wondering on, how exactly the MSMEs will get onto this, understand what the requirement is. So we are making it on the minutest scale onto how to gear up for the journey,
Yes.
not be there on the advanced stage at the moment, but just work slowly, gradually be there. So it's like a transition from even understanding the concept and be at the advanced level. That's what we are working on at the moment, and the standard is already in a very advanced stage at the moment on the MSMEs part of it. Beyond that, even if I tell you about, let's say, what we are working within our company as well, Suzlon, wherein we are working with the tier one sector, tier one suppliers, and all the critical suppliers, which also includes a lot of MSMEs. So within Suzlon, where we prefer is more of local suppliers, and even within local, we are also having a preference of MSMEs. So that's what we have been doing despite any law, legislation, whatever it is, since many, many years. What we are doing is we are training them. First, understand, map your waste, whatever is the waste, segregate your waste. Don't mix the waste, and then you understand what the quantification is, because the basic problem what India has, many of the companies, many of the organization, is understanding what waste means for us, right? It's all about hazardous. It's all about used oil, and beyond that, everything else is the mixed waste. So once you do that, you are lost. So I think it's about making them understand how do you quantify, assess, inventorize into multiple streams, and then only we can have very focused actions on those waste streams. So that's what we are trying to do, and then optimize as much as possible. If possible, maybe in the packaging could be the soft target, and then from there focused on the process, because process is something which people are hesitant, reluctant to get in over there, and that's working honestly because they're a part of our value chain, and we are trying to work on tier 1 and then get on to tier 2, tier 3 as well. In a similar way, we are contributing towards the committee wherein we are on the BIS, and hopefully things are there and should be evolving. But it's also happening at the moment with a lot of push coming in from SEBI, because in a way, when SEBI is asking you not just to report internally within the organization, they're asking even to report from the suppliers. And when the suppliers are
Yes,
involved,
yes,
it's also giving a lot of momentum and edge on. And they are now understanding that, it's high time that we being in India, we have to cooperate not just one organization, but across all sectors, because we have to work within India, and we should be, working for the next week. So I think waste is feasible provided we have the will, but long way to go.
This is the reason why we are suggesting for a framework for micro and small, because they're part of your value chain or a supply chain. There's a huge gap with the kind of global investments that are happening in the country, especially in sectors like manufacturing. The struggle for the challenge industry today is the supply chain. And the difference between your medium and micro and small is too vast. And so that is why maybe recently Niti Aayog said their focus will be more on strengthening the medium enterprises in the country and not on micro and small enterprises. But then micro and small also needs to be upgraded, and with the latest redefinition in the budget of the MSME definition itself. So something where to, because even to be part of the supply chain and value chain of large and medium enterprises, they will lose out an opportunity because it's a compliance requirement. This is the reason, and what comes from financial regulations, but the ground realities and the technical regulations are totally different. That challenge is also there, and I wish we would like to see some light framework, some meaningful framework for micro and small businesses, which will really help them, which should help them to be part of the global supply chain also. And it's going to be, and it's a simplified corporate reporting, unified corporate reporting is what the country needs. There has to be one corporate reporting structure from the country.
Agreed.
Too many frameworks.
Agreed. We
That,
all are lost.
absolutely, they're totally lost. And it sucks a lot of money for the businesses also. So there are all the challenges that we are seeing, and that unified reporting should be the global focus and vision. And unless we really work towards it, businesses will simply lose money in maintaining multiple compliances and all this. Anyhow, we would like to thank you once again, and I've not seen
Thank you
any
so much. My
from
pleasure.
the audience. I really do not have any question. There's one, and I don't see any questions here from the audience. Some suggestions. That's it. Right. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Then bye. So we'll move on to our next session. Just a second. Just give me 1 minute. The very interesting topic again is on evolving regulations and how the industry is actually going to plastics sector and a segment, how it's going to meet. So the plastic-free future is the global mandate, and this is the global call of action now. So, but then how businesses can actually prepare for a plastic-free future with all these evolving regulations, be it in the domestic front or the global front. So we have the session, next session by Dr. Vilas Ramrao Shirhati. Aarti, can I have the slide, please? Yes. So we have Dr. Shirhati, the principal advisor of Zydus Wellness Products Limited, and he's also a former scientific panel member in FSSAI. And so Dr. Vilas has got close to about 5 decades of industrial R&D leadership, having worked across various companies like Hindustan Unilever, GE, Tata Chemicals, Colgate Palmolive, and various other the businesses specializing in innovation, product development, and sustainability. And he's also part of academic foundation in analytical and organic chemistry. He's got his doctorate with about 10 years of teaching and research experience in various institutions like NCL India, John Hopkins University, and NIH USA. He is an expert in food technology, nutrition science, personal care, and home care, with a deep knowledge of various products, processes, and packaging innovations. And he is behind successfully launching various consumer products in the country, from concept to commercialization in sectors FMCG, nutraceuticals, wellness categories. And he has established various state-of-the-art R&D centers, laboratories, manufacturing facilities, building high-performance teams and global sourcing strategies. And some of these requests we keep coming across as consultants, most often looking for experts actually. And he has played a key role in strategy development, regulatory compliance, and sustainability initiatives, including green chemistry, an interesting topic, and carbon footprint reduction. He's published about several research papers, contributed to various books, and then numerous talks in various international and national forums. He's a visiting professor and industry faculty at various leading academic institutions and scientific institutions like ICT Mumbai, Catholic University, and GE Six Sigma School. So over to you, Dr. Vilas, and we would like to listen to your session. It's a very interesting topic. I hope.
You, Ramaji, for your kind introduction. And at the outset, I would like to thank Anil Johari and Ramaji for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. How do I share my slides?
You have actually, you're given an access.
Okay.
Down, you can if you come bottom of your screen, can you see a share button?
No, I don't seem to have the share button.
Must be there. Actually, you're using your laptop and.
I'm using a laptop, yeah.
Laptop,
Down
right?
at the bottom.
I mean, that's your screen. Under the screen, you have your audio, video, participants, and all that is there, right?
Yeah.
So there you will find a share button with a green arrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so if you can actually in that, because you have an access and it opens your screen.
Okay, let me share my presentation.
Yes.
Can you see my presentation?
It's opening up. Yeah, we can see that. And please do a full screen mode.
Yes, I have put it on a full screen mode.
Why do I see some parallel, some gray screens on the side? Yeah, this is gone now. I think it's opening up slowly, some internet issue.
Yeah.
It's clear now, very clear. Yes.
It's clear?
Yes, very clear. Yes, please.
Okay, plastic-free future. Is it just a workable thing, or is it just an aspirational thing? And is evolving regulations alone can deal with this? Answer is definitely not. Now, already, I think being a last speaker, a lot of these points have been already covered by Ms. Gupta and earlier speakers. We know so much of plastic. We see all around us plastic waste generation. The plastic bottles and wrappers seem to be most visible things. And food industry is a significant contributor due to packaging, takeaway, and delivery models. And India generates about 3.5 million tons, which is compared to US of 37.5 million tons is much less. But however, we are catching up and we are also becoming a significant contributor to this. And non-recyclable single-use plastics dominate this consumption, obviously for various reasons. And plastic pollution affects land, water, air, public health, aquatic life, plant life, and every aspect of life on the earth. Despite of all the efforts from regulatory side, industries and academia and all, the plastic consumption is going up every year and also continuing to rise even beyond 2030. Now, when you talk of plastic pollution, there is something that is visible, which we see the pile around, which is choking the drainages, rivers, exposure to livestock and all those things. But there is a lot of invisible pollution also that is coming because there is a monomer manufacturing. Monomers are much more toxic, carcinogenic as compared to polymer. And they also generate a waste. They also generate a lot of air pollution. Microplastics in particles in water, all of you know, they are also getting into the food chain, into the salt and other things. And not only when we use plastic, there is an unreacted monomer. We also use a lot of plasticizers, flow improvers, mold release agents, and many other chemicals to manipulate the plastic to our advantage. And many of these are much more toxic than the plastic itself. And printing inks used again and chemicals associated and all those things contribute and make plastic more toxic. Plastic per se may not be as toxic, but these additives that are used also make the plastic more toxic. So one way of looking at it is, can I make the plastic less toxic? That also is something that we need to answer. Now, while we say plastic is a villain and plastic is bad, but let us not forget, plastic also has done a lot of good things to society. It is one of the, I would say, greatest innovations of the century. It has led to industrial revolution, saved a lot of lives. Look at the contamination that would have come in the food chain and the food wastage that we would have had without the plastic. And most importantly, look at the health field, the medical this thing where everything is today disposable and all. If that was plastic was not there, it would have been extremely difficult to handle today's healthcare systems. And it has contributed to reducing the hunger because now we are able to transport the food across the globe and make it reach to people who really need the food. And computer revolution obviously would not have happened without all the plastics that have contributed to making the supercomputers, computers, and a lot of tools. And plastic also has made many things affordable to people, containers and these things. Many of the lower society people would not be able to afford things made out of metal and other things. So plastic also has made many things affordable, and it has actually helped reduce carbon footprint in many products. I'll come to some examples later. So plastic free at this point of is too aspirational, but significant reduction is possible, and also making plastic less toxic is also another way we must look at it. And plastic free or plastic reduction cannot be seen in isolation. It has to be part of the overall sustainability program where we do the life cycle analysis of every product. We look at it and see whether using plastic for this particular application makes sense, or do we look for alternatives. But this decision has to be based on the overall life cycle assessment. So it is not about making the world plastic free, but it is about responsible use of plastic. And today, a lot of the problem that we are having is the irresponsible use of plastic. And of course, the implementation of the 5 Rs, which is refuse, reduce, reuse, and repurpose, recycle, obviously will help a lot if it is done in a very systematic manner and in a very calculated manner. It should help us reduce the plastic usage, and more than plastic usage, the wastage that we generate out of plastic significantly. And also let us remember, when you do life cycle analysis, there are also new technologies coming up with more biodegradable plastics and all. Some of the compostable plastics actually produce more greenhouse gases than the plastic manufacturing itself. So in life cycle assessment, all these things will show up. And reducing plastic or making plastic free world is the success of this program would require a lot of synergy between whom? There is innovation, technology, academia, which is constantly has to find new solutions and new ways of biodegradable plastics. And there are plastic producers. There are converters of this plastic to films or bottles or caps, and the user industry, which uses all these things for packaging. And there is a regulation, and there are heart of all this is consumers. No matter how much regulations you bring in, how many rules you impose, if consumers are also not part of this whole program, I think it's not going to be a successful program. So this requires a synergy amongst all the partners. India has developed a lot of policy responses. They have come up with very good regulations. You have heard about a lot of these things in the previous speaker's presentation. So I'm not going to go into the details of this. Let me see if I can bring in some more value to this whole thing. And there are this plastic management rules. EPR is one of the big thing. They have a website. They have ways of helping you how to become successfully do the EPR, and focus on reducing and replacing recycling plastic. To create a lot of guidelines, a lot of regulations. All this is happening, which is in a very positive direction. And again, I think a lot of things have been already said about EPR. I will not get into the details of this. And industries definitely are taking a serious look at it and trying to follow these regulations and these things to the extent how we can minimize the percentage of recycling of plastic. Now, we all know about these rules, ban on plastic, but the fact is these rules are done with a very good intention. At the end of it, if I go around in the market today, the 50 micron plastics are still available in shops. When you buy something, they put in those bags and give it to you, and we happily take them home. And yes, there is a regulation, but implementation in a country like ours requires a lot of self-discipline. I don't think you can put inspectors in every shop and say, are you using a 50 micron plastic bag or not? Our question is, 50 micron bags are still being produced. Are we going to take a look at actually banning and stopping these productions? Where are these bags coming from? I think these are the questions that we need to ask. It is same thing about pesticide. We know banned pesticide, but there is also manufacturing of these pesticides happening. So first you have to completely stop the source of these 50 micron bags and whoever is producing. So implementation also, I think we need to look at the whole dimension in a different way. Bringing out a nice, good intentional law by itself is not going to solve the problem. And a lot of it, which is because food industry is one of the major contributor to the throwaway plastic. There have been 19 categories which have been recognized. One of them includes the plastic cutlery, plates, straws and trays, and thermocol used in food packaging, plastic stirrers. And yes, in airlines now you see the wooden spoons are being served, and plates and these things are also being made from banana leaves and coconut, these things, and many other options, like we have the paper wax coated wrappers. All these things are happening, but are they happening to the extent that we wish? Probably no. And those are the areas which I think we need to focus and do more. Now, as I said, plastic per se is not bad, but irresponsibly you throw it around and use without proper thinking. The materials for manipulating the plastic will also make it more toxic, and those are the ones which will leach out into the air, leach out into the water, and cause more problems. So that is something that we are not really paying a lot of attention to. I was a product steward for General Electric, GE Plastic particularly, which obviously that business got sold to SABIC. And one of my job as a product steward was to look at the total impact of any technology on the entire environment, which will include the air pollution, water pollution, aquatic life, plant life, human life. So if the new technology, you have some signals, red signals that it is going to cause a problem, the company will have to rethink about it. And that is what I was reporting to the company. And how do you do that? I'll just come to that in a minute. So research and adaptation of biodegradable packaging. There are a lot of new technologies that are emerging, but many of them have remained as academic curiosity, and scalability has been an issue, and a lot of focus has to be there. And implementation challenges, as I said, lack of infrastructure, limited composting and recycling facilities around the country. And we also talked about the medium scale, small scale and all. Yes, they can sort out, they can do a good job and all, but they also need proper recycling facilities, which by themselves they may not be able to afford. So like We have food parks set up in the country now, where you have a lot of facilities being provided in the government, where you can, small scale people can take advantages of this food park. Similarly, can we have infrastructures where, recycling parks and segregating parks, which are set up for handling, where small scale and medium scale people can take their wastage. But one of the problem, as earlier speaker also said, is really segregating and identifying what is waste. We just dump everything into one and call it a waste, and that does not help in making a proper recycling and reusing of that waste. And obviously, there is a burden of recycling. It has to be collected, segregated, transported. If you have these parks where you can segregate it and all, you will have to, there is also a transport, and transporting plastic bottles, which is more of air, is also going to be. So we need to have compression machines where the whole thing is compressed into a smaller this thing and reduce the transportation cost. And some of these things, I think, need to be addressed. And I think one of the area I personally feel a lot of attention is not being paid is consumer awareness. Let me come to a few examples of that from my personal this thing. And it is not that industry is not coming up with their own solutions. Now, startups using bagasse, paper, and bioplastics for packaging is one area where a lot of good examples have come, particularly use of bamboo. Brands like Zomato, Swiggy, Haldiram are piloting compostable options. Retailers are offering buy your own container, bring it. I know an entrepreneur who is doing that, even for your shampoo and all, you take a container. First time when you buy it, you get a container which is aluminum with coated inside with lacquer. And every time you run out of shampoo, you bring it back to their shops and they fill it up and give it to you. And that model definitely was picking up, but due to COVID, I think a lot of things slowed down, and hopefully I believe these models will come back. Government schemes to support MSMEs with sustainable packaging transitions is also a thing where they themselves are not able to invest on research and come up with alternatives, where I think we need government schemes and academy to also help the MSMEs. Now, there are a lot of global initiatives by the industry, and I think we should be quick to study them, adapt them as early as possible. There are some examples of Mars, Nestle, which are their packaging initiatives. Now, I think the new thing that is happening is the wax coated paper, which is also being, I don't know how many of you remember in earlier days when in my childhood, the Parle-G glucose pack was actually biscuits were wrapped in wax coated paper. And I think some of these technologies are now making their comeback again. I have listed all these examples and I'm sharing the presentation, so I think you can take a look at it. One other example at the global level is Milkvilla in India, technically driven plastic-free milk delivery. We know we were using the milkman who would go in aluminum cans and deliver the milk. And can we look at scalability of some of these things back again? Now we have Zomatos, we have Blinkit, and all these new supply chains are coming up, which can be utilized to make it packaging-free delivery systems. And Just Allowed, which has a reusable bowl program initiatives. And all these things have been properly documented, and also the savings and what impact it has on the environment also have been properly documented. And again, more examples from European Union, United States, and Asian African nations. And I think we should constantly continue to study them and make sure that we adopt the best models, what is available to us from the world. Again, expansion of the banned item list, which is again trying to make the plastic less toxic, and mandates for minimum recycled content, boosting R&D and subsidiaries. And these are some of the, and public-private partnerships are some of the things that we should focus more as far as the future directions are concerned. Now, I also mentioned to you that I was heading the Sustainable Future Initiative, which is called the P2 framework, which is developed by US EPA. This is a set of computer-based methods used to predict the environmental impact of chemicals when specific data is unavailable. Like you constantly research comes up with new plasticizers, new flow improvers and all. And, like brominated, some of the brominated compounds which we were using merrily in many of the plastic mold release agents and all, later were found out to be carcinogenic and they were banned. So constantly we should look at these things and make sure that the plastic that we produce at least is being less toxic. And this framework helps assess physical properties. It takes all the existing data and then tells you in a predictability model as to what will be the toxicity of this new monomer or the new additive that we are putting to plastic. And its framework looks at various algorithms and mathematical models and combines the entire thing. And out of this also came this thing about the dirty dozen, the list of 12 persistent organic pollutants. Again, when subjected to this, all of them showed red flag. And I was using this model to assess the entire technology initiatives of GE Plastic in terms of the new plastic components that we were making. Now, I'll give you some examples of live examples. For example, about 10 years back, I am an international travel and I travel quite a lot, and I never carry water. I used to never carry a water bottle, and I will buy the water bottle, drink it and dispose of the water bottle. 10 years back, I got a gift, which was a foldable silicone water bottle. And trust me, since then, I have been using this bottle for the last 10 years. Every time, because many of the airports do not allow you to take the water bottle, they make you throw it. So you drink the water and you can roll up this silicone water bottle and put it in your bag. And as soon as you pass the security, you have water fountains all over the airport. You fill up the water and use it. And since then, I have never gone back to using a plastic bottle. And if a lot of us follow these kind of practices, I think as an individual also, forget about industry regulation, as an individual also, we have a responsibility to contribute. And I was buying a lot of Ziploc bags, put all the vegetables, this thing in the refrigerator, store it, a lot of leftover things and all in Ziploc bags. And, nobody ever bothers to wash a Ziploc bag and to use it. It's also not advisable either. But then I bought a set of silicone Ziploc bags. It has been last 4 years. I have never bought a Ziploc bag, whether it is storing food or whether it is storing vegetables and anything else. I have been using the silicone Ziploc bags, which are reusable. You can wash them. You can wash them in your dishwashing machine and reuse them. So it is 4 years and they are still very good, and I have been constantly using it. So some of these, I think, as an individuals, we should be responsible in adopting to these new technological things. As a product steward, I was also handling a lot of dashboards that are made for cars, be it Ford, be it Toyota, or be it Mercedes. I want to give an examples of Mercedes. When you make a new dashboard for the car, it is assembled, the new car is assembled. There are, as I said, a lot of mold release agents, flow improver that we use for making a very good quality of the dashboard of a car. So when the car is new and the car starts, the engine gets heated up, a lot of these toxic things that get released into the car, and the driver actually inhales it. So the specific resin that we used to make for Mercedes car, we would make the dashboard, put it in a new car, and we will have a dummy individual sitting, robot sitting in the car, and we will actually sample the air out of it and understand how much of these toxins are being released and the driver is getting exposed to, and the company had certain limits. So GE Plastic would continue to work on it and come up with a specific resin which minimizes or even eliminates exposure of the driver to some of these fumes. And this kind of keen look into every aspect of the car building is what gives the quality and the brand name Mercedes as one of the best cars in the world. So it's not just about the engine, but they pay attention to every aspect, to the including that the car is not anything, that fumes that come out of the car, the plastic components used are not toxic to the driver. Another example, which I used to work on a plastic resin, is that for food contact. This is for Rubbermaid and your Tupperware. Now, when you heat the food in containers made out of these things, then a lot of these monomers and plastic release agents will come in contact with the food and they get released into the food. So when we made resin, we actually would make containers. We put acidic food, we put fatty food, we put alkaline food, we put neutral food, and actually cook them in the microwave and analyze the food. And we had analytical instruments which will detect the toxins at the level of parts per trillion. And we would certify that this is a non-toxic grade of plastic for use of microwavable food containers. And when you do this elaborate thing and specifically develop a grade, the cost obviously goes up. That's why a plastic container made by Rubbermaid is more expensive than any ordinary brand. I think you need to understand this. And yes, as I said, plastic recyclability is an issue. But fact is, can I make the plastic which is intended for a good use, like microwaving vessels? Can I make it less toxic and also reduce the exposure to the pollution by these ingredients migrating into the food? So it's a food migration study, and you need very sophisticated instrument because I'm trying to detect at parts per trillion level. And reduction plastic usage, again, has to be done very systematically. It cannot be just a corporate presentation, this thing saying that I want to work on reduction of plastic usage. You need to assess current plastic usage. Sometimes, you have a choice between using a PVC film or a PET film or a BOPP film. What makes more sense? What is the life cycle? Which gives you a better recycling capability? I think all those studies need to be done before you start even selecting. And then you have to assess the current plastic usage. And for this, life cycle studies are the most important thing. And I think that is one of the things that we haven't been doing a good job in India about the full life cycle assessment. And setting sustainability goals and switching to alternatives, because it's not, for industry, it's not easy to just switch to alternatives because there's a huge amount of cost involved. You have machines and you have, if new technology to move, you have to completely redo the investment and all, and sometimes it is not possible. I'll give you another example. I worked on a disposable CD for Disney, and where movies will be recorded on a CD, and these CDs can be kept in a oxygen protected pack for 5 to 6 years. But when I want to watch the movie, I take it out of the pack and put it in the DVD player, and you play the movie. As the movie is played, the CD recording also get destroyed. So this prevents from anybody making more copies. And so this was a disposable DVD. When the product was launched, there was a big opposition from the consumer forum groups in the New York, saying that this leads to a lot of CDs being thrown around. And unless company shows how they are going to manage this recycling of the CDs, we will not allow this launch. So actually the launch was stopped. And when the company had to commit an action saying that the CDs, wherever you buy it, you have to go and return the CD, and those companies will collect those CDs and return back to us so that we can do a proper assessment and do the recycling. So consumer activism also sometimes drives a lot of things that companies will have to do. And rethinking business models, supply chain collaborations. It's not that you are the one who is giving you the polymer resin, but those who are making additives, those who are making the monomers. So you need to collaborate with the entire supply chain to understand how I can reduce the plastic usage, how I can make it less toxic, and then engaging staff and customers. Sometimes your own staff and your customers give you the best feedback. As I told you, the CD, disposable CD example in the US, that we had to withdraw and put proper recycling processes implemented, which was then presented, and then we were allowed to launch it in the US market. So also all these things should be measurable, they should be documentable, and only when you take it in such a systematic manner that you will come up with a plan to do the plastic reduction in plastic usage. Now, there are technological innovations that are happening up. They need scaling up biodegradable bioplastics. There are issues. For example, PLA, polylactic acid, which is a biodegradable plastic, but it is coming from corn. I can give corn for people as a food and they will eat it. I can convert it to alcohol and run a car on it, or I can convert it to PLA and make plastic bottles and caps. Now, question is, there is always a conflict between what do I use, because the land is limited and only so much of corn I can grow. What do I want to use it? So these clashes also need to be addressed. So it is not just easy to say that, okay, go ahead and do a biodegradable plastic. And there are edible packaging, seaweed based solutions. Yes, but how do I scale it up? How much seaweed? Can I generate more seaweed? I think we need to, and seaweed is one of the things that India hasn't really, algae, seaweed and all these things. We have a large sea. We haven't really developed this industry where we can produce a mass, and India, they definitely can be significant player. And podo millet based caps and plates and cups, I think a lot of examples you are seeing in the market today. And there are smart packaging technologies also that are available. I will not, lack of time, I will not get into the details of this. And, more examples of packaging materials, innovations and all. And from the consumer perspective, who have a very important role to play, there has to be a shift in the consumer behavior. And that's why I said one of the areas that we need to promote is, how do I influence consumers to change their behaviors? I gave an example of, a foldable silicone bottle to be used all the time and not have the disposable plastic. Earlier we used to have a 2-liter bottle, and now then we went to 1 liter, then 500 ml, then now even in some of the wedding receptions and all, you see even a 50 ml bottle. And how much amount of plastic we are generating if we keep shifting this way. And prioritizing convenience and value and sustainability, I think the shift has to happen, and consumers must understand they have a role to play in reducing this plastic menace. And single-use packaging, moving to reuse and refill systems, passive purchase decisions. It should move to informed ethical choices. And those brands which show commitment to sustainability, consumers should buy these brands. Yes, commitment to sustainability, as I gave examples, requires a certain investment. So these brands will be more expensive than the regular brands. And you must make the purchase decision based on how much is the commitment of the brand to sustainability. One other thing I have seen in plastic containers is, when we go to restaurants and either leftover food, or when you order this takeaway, this thing, they give in plastic containers. How many times do we know that whether they are made of virgin plastic? Most of them are not. They are using recycle. And recycle also has not only plastic, but a lot of toxins that are, because it's coming out of the waste. And there are a lot of other chemicals that get added to it, and they migrate into food. And one of the disastrous things I have seen people doing is take this plastic container, when they come home, they directly put it in the microwave and heat it. Do you know how much of toxins actually migrate into the food? If you see the studies, you will be horrified. So, some of these things, many of the consumers may not be even aware of it. You have to use only a microwavable plastic container to heat the food. I would say you must switch to glass if possible. But if you cannot, at least use a microwavable plastic, not any ordinary plastic. So a lot of consumer education in this thing. And ignoring packaging wastage, randomly throwing it, take it in a proper place, put it in a recycle bin. And again, home wastage that we have today, every society is fighting, segregating dry waste, wet waste. If you segregate it, if you dump everything in one ground, how the hell are you going to segregate it? I think this is something that we need to keep reminding people. Why I say life cycle analysis is important decision making. There is a comparison study done between a glass container and a mitti container, and a paper container, and a stainless steel and a plastic one. And one would always think the one made with mitti is definitely more sustainable. You can throw it. It is mitti anyway. It will get mixed with the earth and all. But if you start looking at the life cycle and the carbon footprint, the one you make with mitti, because you have to put it in this thing and heat it at a high temperature, it consumes a lot of energy. And the small scale people who do this are using wood, They are using a lot of things, including some of the plastic also goes into burning it, generating toxic fumes. And then if you take the stainless steel container, yes, it has advantages, reusable, lifetime, this thing, but you need to watch it. Hygienic problems are there. You need detergent, you need water, it increases the water footprint. So when you do life cycle, you must look at the carbon footprint, water footprint, all these things. If you take, sometimes what looks greener is actually not green. So in this study, what came out is the most least carbon footprint and water footprint is that of a disposable plastic glass. So now, how do I address this? What do I do? These are the issues that I think we should be. So decision making has to be based on life cycle assessment, and plastic pollution and plastic this thing cannot be seen in isolation. It has to be part of the overall sustainability program. And as I say, plastic free at this point is too aspirational, but significant reduction is possible. And rather than taking an aspirational goal, I think you should make steps to keep continuously reducing the plastic usage. It's not about plastic versus plastic free future, but it's about responsible use of plastic for your advantage or smart plastic usage. There are advantages of plastic, and I think we should definitely exploit it. Plastic reduction is achievable and beneficial part of overall sustainability. 5R implementation is a must, and we must do full-fledged this thing effort to do that. And we need to act now, build a cleaner and more sustainable future for our next generation. And with that, I think, thank you very much for your kind listening. And any questions?
Any questions from the audience? Any questions? You can please post it in the chat box. I must say, thank you so much, Dr. Vilas. It is a very meaningful and very insightful session, and a lot of takeaways from this session, and a lot of practical suggestions and thought-provoking practical inputs that you actually gave us. And it's definitely this presentation has a whole lot of different dimension, and that responsible use of plastics is a key takeaway, because if we cannot avoid the pollution, at least we can focus on reduction. That's the key takeaway for all of us, because we keep talking about plastic free by 2030, but we really do not know how it is achievable, possible by 2030. And you just showed us a metric that only 9% of the plastic is recycled globally. That's actually a very key metric and a key takeaway for all of us. And all these things, in fact, we have jotted down. Success requires synergy, very true. Consumers buy-in is key, because very, very important, because as buyers, we need to demand and ask for many things. Each one of us is a consumer, but even our awareness is pretty low when it comes to environmental protection and reducing the pollution. Reducing plastics for health and wellness is actually something which we could pick up, and you're also coming from a wellness sector and health and wellness sector. In fact, it has a huge impact on public health, especially when we are talking about even microplastics, for that matter. None of us care about, none of us really know about the impact of the microplastics. And enforcement of regulations, agree that it's not happening. One good suggestion, something we really like so much, is about stopping the source at manufacturing of the banned products, which is something which the government should really seriously look at it, because the regulators do not have the kind of infrastructure, people capabilities, or a huge people resource pool to go after the businesses chasing them. It's not going to happen also. Maybe stopping this manufacturing at the source itself for the banned products is something which they can actually do a good market surveillance, and that may really throw some good impact. And sustainable packaging suggestions for FSSAI is, yes, it's a good one. And that emerging solutions, what you had actually showed us, was really interesting. In fact, a lot of key takeaways from those couple of slides. And global initiatives by industry, also those slides are also very, very interesting. And the future directions is something what I personally liked is that product stewardship. Yes, this is what the country needs. If we have to really focus on research and innovations, and that product stewardship is what is actually missing in the country. At least
Yes.
I think that that's a very powerful takeaway from your session, in fact. And we will be inviting you to do make some more sessions in future on product stewardship, especially with so many research and incubation hubs that are that are there in the country, and a lot of innovations happening.
Yeah.
Technology transfers and commercial focus is also missing, unfortunately, with all these innovators. The academic hubs, they are coming out with very good innovative technologies, but then the commercialization, the technology transfers are also not happening.
Yeah.
That is what the country needs, actually. Product stewardship is a very important one. And in fact, I was just wondering, that's just my musing. When with the biomanufacturing policy announced in the country,
Hmm.
I think alternatives to the conventional plastics can come actually from the biosolutions. Some
Yes.
of the
Yes.
sustainable alternatives, and with that biomanufacturing focus in the country, I think this product stewardship is what needs to be kickstarted and pushed. Maybe that requires. I also I picked up your strength from your profile, but then when you were presenting it, we could actually visualize and see where the future lies, and the futuristic innovations need this kind of product stewardship. Actually, very good insights. Thank you so much for that wonderful.
If I can add, when I joined GE, I was heading the part of the product stewardship of the European division. People used to ask me, they only know the air stewards. They used to ask me, which airline are you working for? I said, no, it's a product. So I think awareness of what is product stewardship and what this
Yes,
person exactly does.
absolutely, yes.
And they bring a lot of insight into what is happening with the life cycle assessment and where plastic is going, what is happening to it. And unless you understand that full picture and make it part of the entire sustainability program, and today most companies don't even have a product stewardship department to begin with.
Sorry, this is what we are talking about. That R&D focus, the new product development focus is missing in the
I'll tell you a
country.
simple example. I just came to India only yesterday. I was in the US. Now, we all know that we are using this Teflon coated things at home. I think all of us are using at home, right? So over a period of time, when you use the metal spoons and all, there'll be scratches and the Teflon coating keeps coming up. And where does it go? It obviously goes into the food. Now, recently, they have come up with a process of etching the stainless steel. So if the way the etching is done, there are hexagonal cycles which are on the steel. So the entire stainless steel vessel is now non-stick. There is no Teflon coating. There is no plastic coating. And I can scrub it with a metal bread. Nothing happens and it is completely non-stick. And this is the lifetime. You buy stainless steel like what to do in India, they last you forever. And this is now a non-stick stainless steel. And that is completely going to change, and you will throw away all your Teflon coated, and all the Teflon that is entering your stomach will be stopped. So I think we should look at these sustainable solutions.
Yes.
We look at very fancy solutions and all. And again, other thing that we always try to do is, can any technology become pan-India? You don't have to make every technology pan-India. If South produces a lot of coconut and arachidnut, and the arachidnut shells can be converted to glasses and all, why don't you develop it locally, and at least locally you will reduce the plastic consumption. So we want to take everything. That's why I think my worry is when you get too aspirational, it becomes, like to 2030, I want to be plastic free. Is it going to be really possible? Rather than have a few steps that I will reduce the plastic by 10%, 20%, achievable goals, and at the end of 2030, you'll say, yes, I have achieved these steps, rather than keep it so aspirational that I will make a plastic free world.
Absolutely. And instead of coming out with multiple policies and multiple reporting frameworks, multiple metrics. The ground realities are different because globally itself, when the recycling percentage is 9%, actually that metric really made us think.
I mean, a lot of the statistics really make you wonder whether we are really progressing or it is a very nice statement to make plastic free world. But ground reality is something. That's why today we are moving to data-based decisions. So please look at the data for making decisions.
Fully agree with you. And maybe this is, you gave us a food for thought, and we will reach out to you because we are thinking about introducing this product stewardship focus. How do we enable industries to create this kind of thought, first of all, to push the thought into the minds of the industry and, to focus on all the sustainable solutions. I fully agree. That is where the future lies, and we are moving forward in that direction. Maybe we will reach out to you again, and I'd like to really thank you so much. And this every slide of this makes us want us to go back and reread, and all the sessions today are actually have different dimensions and different focus. So we'll reach out to you. Thank you so much. I don't think any questions. A lot of appreciation, and it's an impactful. In fact, the presentations are impactful today.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I have shared the slide presentation with you.
We will share it with all. Yes. We will share it. Actually, today's session, if I remember right, it has crossed more than 100 registrations. So what's happening from this thing, what we have picked up is, because we've been doing this over the years, last 5-6 years, they register because they can have access to our recorded sessions, videos. It's all YouTube, and it's all uploaded in our YouTube channel. And we send it to everybody, not only to the registered participants, to all our database. And they all go back and refer, because when you see the videos, we will know the views, how the views are going up. Because they register it for the session, because during the daytime, they find it tough to participate in the conversation, sometimes from the workplaces.
True.
So this is what they do. This is what we mean by knowledge sharing. Either whichever manner it is, we disseminate. It doesn't matter, but as long as somebody really gets benefit out of this. That's the whole purpose. Yes, all registered delegates, we have your email IDs, and all of you will get this. No worries. Just trying to check whether the last speaker, Mr. Atul Manga, has joined, because he is traveling, and he actually mentioned that if he reaches on time, and the flight reaches on time, he will join. And it's a sudden trip, he had to be there. And that is a session from NCCF. Aarti, can you please check if Mr. Atulji has joined? Is he available?
No, ma'am.
Not there, is it? Okay, because Jori sir was trying to reach him, messaged him also. If he has reached, asking him to join. Okay, then we will just wind up the session. I don't think he did message that he will join for the subsequent sessions. If possible, he said he will try to join. So I would like to come to the concluding part of today's sessions. So I would like to take this opportunity for all the delegates for joining us today, and the wonderful speakers, representation from Bureau of Indian Standards. BIS always accommodates our request, and they show a lot of interest to be part of this educational sessions, and BIS has been supporting for all the sessions. And then we had our speaker, Ms. Nishita Gupta. She also spoke last year. I do remember it was, I think, during November month quality series or standards day. I don't remember. So last year also she made a presentation on ESG related topic, and we've requested her to join us again this year also. The session by her, it's a corporate reporting and corporate related structures and corporate related initiatives that she was presenting. So from a standards perspective, from BIS, which the presentation was about national standards, her session had a mix of both the national and international requirements. Then we had the last session by Dr. Vilas, and this had a real futuristic focus. There's a lot of futuristic focus and strategies and action plan that we could visualize from this presentation. In fact, we were thinking in our consultants forum repeatedly, the next gen skills that are needed in the industry is something again we really wanted to focus, because the skills that we had of yesteryears, the skills that we have currently, but the future skills are going to be totally different. It's going to be an automated world, and with all those, even the hardware has a software embedded in many of the products and across various sectors. So the futuristic skills, like the last session, Dr. Vilas was mentioning about data speaks, how the data sciences is going to actually play a crucial role. So these are the things which are missing in the industry corridor today, whether it's a large enterprise or a medium enterprise. Even there, we don't find many of these structures. Forget about small and micro businesses. Lot of your technocrat entrepreneurs are actually there in the micro and small businesses, and that is where the good takeaway for us is on the product stewardship, and to drive these businesses to focus more on product innovations. These are all the things which were there in our minds and consultants forums. We were discussing how do we create and kickstart these conversations. This is a small contribution. Almost all our sessions, you know, that is a no fee based session, because the small teasers and knowledge initiatives that we do. Our focus is only on that, and we don't, kind of focus much on the commercial trainings and all that. CCC, our consultants forum, that is not our focus. Some meaningful conversations like this is what we have been doing for the last, this is the 6th year of operation, the last 5 years. Thousands and thousands of participants have participated, and so we will continue to do the series. And this June month, again, the next session is day after tomorrow, is on food safety standards, and where actually this year theme is a very nice theme, science in action. That is the global theme now. So even if you see our poster campaign, uh, say no to claims, ask for science, is what we have created as a this thing. So it's all going to be scientifically driven product development, or what we have seen in the food space over the years is only claims and claims and claims, but nobody is talking about science there. And that increasingly that need is felt. The regulators like US FDA, if anybody has been watching US FDA handle for the last 1 or 2 months, you will see what we are talking about. They're driving many things in the regulatory frameworks also is going to be science-based, scientific-based, and evidence-based, and even the regulatory structures, the tracing and tracking of a lot of innovations and approvals, product approvals, and everything. You know, they're going to use technologies like AI, and then look into your scientific innovations and scientific reporting and all that. So regulators are going to even use technologies extensively to drive home a message that it is going to be the science and the scientific way of looking at things which is going to drive the approvals. So a lot of these changes are happening. So session on 7th is also an interesting topics, dedicated session on food safety, and we have very interesting topics, a lineup of speakers. And then 9th is World Accreditation Day. The topic this year is very, very interesting. Like, how do you enable small and mid-sized businesses across the world with the help of accreditation? That is the global theme. So that is on June 9th. With that, the June month series comes to an end. So inviting you all to join us and be part of this conversations. All of you who have registered, even the others who have not registered also, you will have access to the videos that are recorded, and the speakers who have gracious enough to share their presentations, we will share it with you. And so we will keep inviting you for all the future sessions. After this, we'll have our sessions. These are the milestone months. October, we will do World Standards Day programs, and November is November month quality series. Throughout the month, we will do some programs. But in between also, we keep doing some sessions, which are the need of the our sessions. Like one session we will be doing again in the food sector on 100% claims. Is the latest regulation from FSSAI. Say no to 100% claims. No business can claim that, 100% safe, 100% quality, 100% green. This 100% claims are not allowed. So what the mandate is all about, there will be some conversation on that, and we will be doing some conversations on future skilling the next generation professionals in various sectors and entrepreneurs. These are all the sessions. So we would like to thank you once again for your participation. So I think with this, we have come to the end of our session and we can wind up our session. I don't think there are any questions in the chat box. Let me just see. There is one question. Yeah. Percentage of biocompostable and biodegradable plastic waste and the entire plastic waste in the Indian scenario. What are the quality parameters to declare biocompostable or biodegradable plastic? This is from Mr. Solanki. So can anybody answer this question? One of the, Dr. Vilas, are you there?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Are you
Honestly,
Ah.
I haven't done enough search
Right.
for the available data.
Ah.
I'm not sure whether a
Ah.
good reliable data does exist on this.
Fair enough.
Because very few people are still working and using this biocompostable
Okay.
plastic. So
authenticity is an
Yeah.
issue.
And also,
Right.
if it is all there, it's a very small percentage because still we have a
Right.
long way to go to.
Right. That's fine. No issues. Okay. So we will log off the session. Thank you so much. Do join us for the subsequent sessions.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.